questions swirling around this flight and whether a terror group could have possibly brought this plane down. When a Russian passenger jet was taken down by a bomb over Egypt last fall, it took an ISIS affiliate weeks to claim responsibility. With terror the second most important issue to American voters, they are looking to presumptive GOP nominee Donald Trump and likely Democratic nominee Hillary Clinton for some answers. Both think they are the ones best equipped to do it. Listen to this.
We're going to beat ISIS very, very quickly, folks. Very, very quickly. It's going to be fast. It's going to be fast. We're going to be fast. I have a great plan. It's going to be great. Well, what is it? I'd rather not say I want to be unpredictable. Why would you announce that? Why do you announce that? Why do you tell the enemy that you're sending people over there and they now have a target on their back?
His idea that he, quote, has a secret plan to get rid of ISIS that he's not going to tell anybody. I found it disturbing because as a senator from New York for 8 years, as Secretary of State for 4 years, I know that the stakes are high, that we face some real challenges and dangers in the world.
Joining me right now, we have Dr. Sebastian Gorka. He's the chair of the military theory at Marine Corps University and author of Defeating Jihad, and Larry Korb. He's a senior fellow at the Center for American Progress and a former assistant defense secretary. Welcome to you both. Dr. Gorka, starting with you, what do you think Donald Trump's plan is to get rid of ISIS?
Well, I'm not on his campaign staff. I did advise Mr. Trump last year on some national security issues. He's being a little bit cagey. He gave his first very big foreign policy speech just a couple of weeks ago. And there's one big difference about Mr. Trump. He actually believes we are at war and he wants to win and destroy the enemy. And that would be very, very refreshing, Trish, after the last 7 disastrous years.
Yes, but at the same time, Larry, he strikes at times a very isolationist type of tone. In other words, saying we shouldn't be involved in these battles overseas in the Middle East, certainly not battles that we're not going to see through. How do you reconcile that with his saying he's going to destroy ISIS?
Well, I think that's the problem. He'll say one thing and then do something else. He's very impulsive. He came out right after the plane went down and said, we know it's terrorists. You just had a report on there said it could have been a critical malfunction. He said he wants to defeat ISIS, but he doesn't want to get involved in places overseas. I mean, one of the reasons we have ISIS is because of the Syrian civil war. He said he wouldn't get involved in it. So I think he's the presumptive nominee. He can't keep playing these games where he says, well, I'm not going to tell you. No, he needs to tell the American people and the world, because people around the world listen to him. He's now the nominee of one of our major political parties.
Well, Dr. Gorka, he's promised that he would get rid of ISIS, that he would bomb ISIS. Is that enough in an environment such as we're living in right now, politically speaking, where people are hungry for details and they do want answers? And this is something Hillary Clinton is going to continue to harp on as we see this race play out.
Well, he did give some answers, and they're very important ones. He said in his foreign policy speech that the Muslim Brotherhood is inimical to democracy and is a threat to the United States, and he is prepared to put it on the foreign terrorist organization list, just as Egypt, where it was created, has already done. And the Muslim Brotherhood is the grandfather of all jihadi groups, Al-Qaeda, ISIS, Al-Nusra, you name it. So he's made some statements that are very reassuring, and things that simply after the last 7 years are a breath of fresh air. It's disastrous, whether it's Benghazi, whether it's betraying the Iranian people in the Green Revolution, whether it's the events of Libya. You couldn't imagine a worse foreign policy than the last 7 years.
Well,
so whatever he does, I think it would be an improvement.
Larry, I mean, that's the big challenge right now for Hillary Clinton. She has to live down being Secretary of State at a time when ISIS came to power. You look at the last 8 years, and I don't think anyone could say we are in a good state as far as our foreign affairs go. How does she campaign when American voters know there's a good chance they could get another 4 years of exactly what they've had for the last 8?
Well, I think it's important to keep in mind ISIS came into being because of Bush's mindless, needless, senseless invasion of Iraq, which he was not honest about. And basically then that's why ISIS came into being. And everybody's blaming Obama for getting out of Iraq in 2011. Bush signed an agreement with them in 2008 that said we had to get out. I remember asking Maliki this, and he said, you signed an agreement. And basically that's what created this situation. Had we not done that, we wouldn't be having these problems today.
You know, the challenge is you get into something, you got to see it through. You can't just run out and leave chaos behind, because otherwise you're going to see exactly what we are seeing right now.
Well, I agree. Bush shouldn't have signed that agreement. If he hadn't done it, we wouldn't have this situation. Yeah, but remember, when he signed it, Maliki said, we have repelled the invaders when Bush signed that agreement.
Sebastian,
and that was at the height of our power.
Go ahead. Dr. Gorka, go ahead.
I think we have to stop blaming Bush. I mean, that's just so hackneyed. Let's talk about the future. Let's talk about San Bernardino, Brussels, and Paris. Let's talk about the fact ISIS is the most powerful jihadi organization the world has ever seen, and it was facilitated by our withdrawal in 2011 when Secretary Clinton was the Secretary of State. There would be no ISIS and no caliphate if we still had American troops in Iraq and President Obama hadn't pulled them out and Secretary Clinton hadn't supported that decision. That's the truth. Let's stop blaming
gentlemen,
Bush.
Good to see you. Thank you
Bush
so
signed
much.
the agreement.
You still haven't
come up with the fact. Why
did
Bush sign the agreement?
I got to go.